All right. Net will start as soon as the 2-meter net finishes, so stay tuned. Okay, Ed, thank you for doing the net, and birthday salutations to you also. And let's see. Let's first see if there's any emergency or priority traffic before we get the ATV net going here. All right, how about any announcements for the net tonight? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to invite everybody who's not watching directly to tune in to w6cxatv.mdarc.org, or if you're watching YouTube, look at the live presentation on Media Space MDARC. And if you really feel brave, you can tune in and be part of the net on whereby.com/ATN1. So, real quick, that's w6cxatv.mdarc.org, Media Space MDARC, or whereby.com/ATN1. So, all right, roll call follows. All right, let's go over to Fred, WB6ASU.
I gotta get all the buttons in the right places. Too many knobs. Oh my goodness. Good evening, Jim in the net. IB6 ASU. Fred, stuck in a campo like normal. Yeah, been interesting. 74 out there right now. Cooling off nicely. And Jim, just a note, I did turn the repeater off yesterday because it's been staying on too long. So my theory is it needs to be manually turned off and on so we get the problem cured. Let's see. Not a whole lot going on. Still trying to play plumber. Yeah, that's a long story, some other day. Alright, oh, yes. For those of you who really want to watch amateur television, get yourself a free-to-air receiver. They are dirt cheap. Hook up a 1.2 gig antenna, something you can kind of point towards Mount Diablo, and you can actually get 4 television channels. We have our main channel, we have our digital second channel, we have our third channel, which right now has an outside surveillance camera on it, but it's switchable to a whole bunch of other stuff up there. And channel 4 puts up the 4 screen where you can watch all of our buddies over there on WeirdFi, or whatever it is. Anyway, that's how it works. It's real simple to get on and receive it. And if you happen to come up with a little bit of a dish, you can take the same free-to-air receiver, point it at the free-to-air satellite, get free television, and get NASA and all that good stuff. So, more than one thing you can do with the equipment. Anyway, I'll make that it for tonight. AB6 ASU, always stuck in a campo.
Okay, Fred. Thank you for checking in tonight. And yeah, 74 degrees. It's cold out there. So you need to throw another log on the fire. So, all right. Well, let's see. I do have some news for you. I took everything out and bolted it onto the vehicle, and it works just fine. So we'll be ready for rock and roll. All right, let's go over to Chris, W6ATV. All right, no Chris tonight. This guy's out here because we saw him tuning up. Matthew, N4DLA.
Okay, K6SOE in the weekly edition of the Mount Diablo Amateur Radio Club, a digital amateur television net. From N4DLA, Matthew in Orinda. Well, first of all, good evening to my wonderful wife, Peggy.Cat, watching us on the stream down below at the house. There's the shack's up here, and the vintage 1939 garage. So Friday, I'm up and antenna is pointing northwest. I'm like, oh, pointed east toward Mount Diablo. I put that antenna up, screwed it into a top of a cut-off bay tree years ago. This past July, it moved. All the stuff and everything. Well, it moved. Some creature we didn't have arms, and my PVC that I use as a portable antenna mast. So I go over to the shack, and there's wall in front of the shack. When it rained, it had an inch of rain this Sunday. It was gone, or the water had dried up or drained out. So push the antenna to KC, and I let her key, and the signal came here. Well, anyway, got water because the East Bay has a water leak on their side of the water meter, and we called them, and they came out, and they said, yeah, it's our meter. Excuse me. And they said it's some gaskets that they got to replace periodically, and I said, well, you guys were out here about 10 years ago for the same thing, but the leak was a lot worse. I don't know if it involved gaskets, but you guys had to excavate and everything. They said, no, but get to it in 1 to 25 days. So it's been a week. They still haven't fixed it. The water's still there. It's not gushing out or anything. It's just wet, but the water in the drain. Never been 4D. You know what's going to next? My wiggy.cat. So anyway, great signal out of K6 SOE net control and WB6 ASU in a Campo, and also saw ND6H earlier. Glad his Florida division is good, and we'll hopefully hear from him shortly. So everybody have a great end of September, great start to fall, weather-wise anyway. K6 SOE from N4DLA Orinda.
All right, Matthew, thanks for checking in tonight. Good signal from you. Get a little bit of audio cut out there at the beginning, but at the end it was solid as a rock. So all right. Let's see if this guy's around tonight. Dave, WB6DTB. We're gonna have to give him a call and see see where he's at. So, all right, let's go over to John, W6DTV. Okay. No John. And let's try Stan, NJ6E.
Yeah, good evening to the net. Jim in the net from Stan in Sonoma. And once again coming in on the S2 receiver, which is, I guess, the last one on the totem pole. I was, as Fred was pointing out, I was noticing the noise bursts in the signal of the repeater when nobody was transmitting, and I'm pretty sure that's probably the FM receiver malfunctioning. unfortunately also the, I guess, non-functional FM receiver malfunctioning and bringing up the repeater as it had done it previously, but it hasn't been doing it for the last several minutes, I guess because most people are coming in on receivers that are higher in the chain, but I'm one lower in the chain, so, but I'm getting in solid at the moment. Anyway, enough of that dribble. I have family in the Jacksonville, Florida area, and the storm is, oh, there goes one right now. Okay, and another. So I think that's the FM receiver causing these blips. Anyway, I was mentioning I had family in the Jacksonville, Florida area, and the storm is passing them to the east as we speak, but they're not expecting as much damage as other parts of the state have seen, and so I will, without further ado, let you get John on so he can talk about his Florida properties and the like, since he's a little closer to where the Ian came ashore. So back to net and J6E.
Okay, Stan, thank you for checking in tonight. Good signal from you as always. And yeah, let's go get a weather report from John. ND6H. Hopefully the roof is still on the house in Florida. Over.
Okay, there's a picture. Yes, as I understand it from my neighbor, the only thing that happened at the house in Florida, aside from no power, is one of the many fence panels got blown out, which, quite frankly, I expected most of the fence to be knocked down, but apparently that was not what transpired, so that's a good thing. Still got to figure out what the status is from my mom's unit that's much closer to the coast than we are in North Naples. We did get an update that there was no flooding there, which I was happily surprised about. I think it's within a mile, maybe a mile and a half of the coast there. So with all the stuff I was seeing on the Weather Channel last night, I was pretty certain that mom's unit was flooded out, but apparently that hasn't been the case, so I guess that's a good thing. Anyway, so just waiting patiently for the power to come back on so that maybe I can see something over the cameras. Matthew, they just fixed the RFI problem last week down there, so of course I never got to go test out the interference-free radio waves before. I'm sure now it's going to be back with a vengeance. Anyways, so we'll see what happens there. RV, I'm told, has its new generator installed and they're kind of doing testing. We're going to try and go pick it up tomorrow morning. Went well. Aside from up and where there's no south and has big storm towards one year, that was not pleasant. The trip went. Still on Sunday, for the first time this year in Sacramento. So I've been out trying to make sure sailboats worked, and got 2 of the 3 taken care of that I'm intending to race, and I got to figure out a way to keep one of the sail sheets from interfering with the rudder servo. So after the net, that's the next project. FT8, had some contacts with Europe this afternoon. Nothing really super spectacular. There's a couple with, I think, places I've already talked to, Czechoslovakia, and stuff like that. So, nothing like last week. And no car shows. So I think that pretty much covers it from over here in wonderful Concord, where we have 75 degrees outside right now. And no wind. Oh, and I did fly this morning. I forgot about that. Got 2 flights in with a plane with a propeller on it. So I was quite surprised about that as well. So just got to make sure we get to do the sailing, and then that'll round out everything for the fun and excitement here. Jim, thanks for doing the net. John, Concord, ND68.
All right, John. Thanks for checking in tonight, and glad to hear you were able to do some flying, and you'll be able to do some boating here soon. And glad to hear that Florida is safe at this point in time. And they got your power problem fixed. Well, that's great. I guess the power problem is fixed now, except you don't have enough of it to share with the neighborhood. So, all right. Let's see if Kevin has got a signal in tonight. KK6JPN. Okay, no Kevin tonight. Let's see, I'm Jim, K6SOE, still doing the 2 meter and the ATV net. Where are we on the list here? Let's go down to Owen, KK6Q. All right, let's go over to Jerry, KB6T. All right, well, that's the list as I have it right now. Let's see if there's any missed or late video check-ins or additional check-ins. All right. At this point in time, we'll entertain audio check-ins. Let's go Alpha through November, audio check-ins. All right. Echo link is a little on the loud side with some background noise, but you're making a trip. Okay, Matheson, thank you for checking in, and we'll catch up to you next week there. So, any other audio check-ins, Alpha through November? All right, let's go Oscar through Zulu. Oscar through Zulu. All right, thanks for checking in. Are you watching tonight? All right, sounds good. So, all right, well, always tune in on the internet when you can. It's w6cxatv.mdarc.org, and you'll get connected to the stream there. I've got, what, 5 people watching right now, KC6 GPW, and about 4 others. So that's a good thing there. So, all right. Any other audio check-ins, Alpha through Zulu? Okay. Hearing none at this point in time, I'm going to transition over to the whereby side and get a few people that are over there checked in over here. So stand by while I push a couple buttons. Okay, 6 SOE. Okay, if I mute that. 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 See if we can get. See if we can get. What you can say here. 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 It's all yours, Joel. It's all yours, Joel. It's all yours, Joel.
I didn't know you were calling me.
It's all yours, Joel.
I didn't know you were calling me.
It's all yours, Joel.
I didn't know you were calling me. I didn't know you were calling me.
I'm just gonna let this go. I'm just gonna let this go. I'm just gonna let this go. I'm gonna let this go. Oh God.
And that's why we call it ham radio. That's why we call
Hey, Jim, remember what I told you?
I've got you muted.
Remember what I told you? While Joe's on, can you mute? Turn the mountain off. Turn the mountain off.
It's funny ham radio where we haven't funny ham radio where we haven't funny ham radio.
More winning lottery tickets. There we go. There we go. No, not there yet. Okay, this is getting old real quick. Jim, I guess he'll figure it out eventually, but this is Joel, KD6W from Scottsdale, Arizona. I think it got up to 98 degrees, didn't it, Lee? I don't think it was out of the norm, but not too hot, not too cold. Very pleasant to hear that Florida has not been swept out to the ocean. I I still see it on the map over here. I'm watching weather radar, basically just keeping track like everybody else and watching the updates and hoping everybody's safe and fine and hope they get the help they need. But I have been working on some things in the background very busily, and not to get too far ahead of myself, I'm working on a project very specific to the ATN network. If I could share this, this will be interesting. It'll be something that looks like this. So this is a server that's made by a company called Supermicro. You may have heard of them. They're based out of Milpitas. But so what this has is a certain amount of capacity, some number of ports, but it has a PCI slot. And that's important because I need the PCI slot to house this card. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the company called DECTech. I know them personally. I've known Stefan Biot for many, many, many years. And he and I, we were talking about this concept that, because I'm thinking about stuff that's on the ATN network. And so basically what's missing in our network is a digital tier, because everything's analog. And so everybody's familiar with the network. You know, here in Arizona, we've got all these linked machines. In California, you got all these links that go all over the place in Santa Barbara and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, long story short, we need a very low cost and reproducible item that kind of doesn't exist in the market. There is a company that makes one, but they want a little too much money for it, and I think I can make one cheaper. So I reached out to my friend over at DECTech about this card, and so this card, if you look at it very carefully, it's got a gigabit and 3 ASI ports, all mounted on a PCIe slot card. And so if I put that card into this chassis and run some demux code from FFmpeg, guess what I can do? I can make a multiplexer. And what that multiplexer allows us to do is to be able to attach transport streams like the one that's coming from Mount Diablo, which is you see the 4 different streams coming from the single transmitter because it's a multiplex of content. Well, so the output of that encoder has an IP socket, and from that IP socket, if I have a way to dump it into the network, so in other words, if you have enough bandwidth to the internet, and we implement SRT, well, SRT is the acronym for Secure Reliable Transport, and it was defined by a company called Hivision. They did all the heavy lift, and they open sourced all the code, and so now SRT is very ubiquitous across the industry. It's now you can put it in your OBS broadcaster software. So it's very clever in what it does because it's wrapping transport stream packets inside a dedicated SRT packet, and that packet can be, because you know how multicast doesn't go through the internet, okay? If you didn't know, well, it doesn't. Well, SRT can, and what it does is it tunnels multicast inside its own SRT packet, which are unicast in nature, which are unicast in nature,
Oh, now I can hear myself.
unicast in nature,
Oh, now I can hear myself.
unicast in nature. That was interesting. So just to summarize, SRT is how we did that. We had that World QSO Day where they were linking up with the guys in Australia. Well, they were using the SRT link capability in the OBS software to link the guys in Australia with the guys in the U.S., and that's how we made all that work. Well, so jump forward. If all these sites, and we have quite a few of them in the ATN network, we have Diablo, Loma Prieta, Boulder, Maryland Heights, Bowling Green, Panama City, Dayton, Columbus, Darby, Wilmington, and St. Louis. They're all single-ended. Most of them are. The rest of them, the network is, here in Arizona, we got Hayden Peak, White Tanks, Mesa, Mount Lemon, and Greens Peak. Oh, well, so if we link all those tunneling forward error corrected IP packets, we can tunnel MPEG-2 transport streams like the one that's coming from Diablo throughout the entire network. And for those sites that don't have a microwave link, they can get it from the internet. And so I'm theorizing this this little multiplexer device because I need something that's cheap. I mean, I can go out and get stuff on eBay, but that's a one-shot, and if it blows up, then it's gone, and how do you know if it supports SRT? So this is a product that, quite frankly, will be tuned for amateur radio, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but this is kind of my pet project for lifting the network into the digital age, and so that's what we've been working on. Back to the net. Jim, over to you, K6SOE, KD6W, Joel in Scottsdale, Arizona.
All right.
Hello, Jim. Maybe a little elevator music. Just kidding. I'm sorry. Jim must have had to go to the bathroom.
Whatever. I see my picture up.
I see yours now.
I see my picture up.
I see yours now.
I see my picture up. Hey, somebody's got to mute. I see my picture up. Hey, somebody's got to mute it, otherwise the running back goes. Hey, somebody's got to mute it, otherwise the running back goes. Hey, somebody's got to mute it, otherwise the running back. Yeah, okay. Nothing really much going on. Maybe I get my truck back tomorrow from Showtime. I had a deer, crash into the door and commit suicide 3 months ago. Well, it took 3 months to get the parts, but hopefully my pickup comes back home to me tomorrow. It'll be kind of nice. Not a whole lot going on, so not going to Pacific Con. Can't afford it. Too many bills. I got more bills than I got income right now, so forget Pacific on this year, so we'll be watching if anybody sends it down here on Whereby or YouTube or whatever. Be happy and whatever, and participate remotely. So that's about it as far as whatever. I don't see too many on here tonight, but so back to you, Jim. W6 KVC.
Okay, here in New York City, weather's here 60 degrees, nice and calm. Don't have Mickey Mouse on the water here. Somebody was talking about receiving ATV. Simple receivers. Me, I have a SDR plate, DX SDR that I used to receive from 2 gigs all the way down to 1 kilohertz. I use that for video with SDR Angel and Atom Pluto when I want to go up to 6 gigahertz. The only way I do ATV is through Whereby because New York City is still old-fashioned. They don't have ATV repeaters here. Everybody else is in the 21st century except for New York City is still back in the 1970s. They're still using a lot of FM repeaters here and not too much digital. I give it back to you, Jim. Back to net control.
Hey, good evening, Jim and the net. This is K0CCU, Lee in Glendale, Arizona. And I looked down here, and it's a nice evening. It's 87 degrees. I think the humidity is about 18%, or it was a little earlier, but that's getting better. I think the monsoon comes to an end tomorrow or Saturday, somewhere in there. However, it doesn't mean we stop getting rain, because I see there's another tropical storm, the Baja down there, Baja, or Sea of Cortez, whatever it is. And I see there's one there that could possibly send some stuff up this way. And that's okay. We'll receive it. I don't want any for stay though. On spray this morning, and stuff to take and dry and stay on the weeds for the full day. You know, so tomorrow they ought to be looking pretty brown, hopefully. Had a great time today. My the youngest granddaughter came to visit, and she didn't want to go in swimming, but she stepped off on the edge and sat down. And so she got kind of wet. She's only 2.5, so she was on the step, and I says, "No, don't sit down." Oops. So we had a good time with her. She was came over about 10 this morning and left around 2 or 3 o'clock, like that. Very, very, very grandkids. When they get tired, you give them back. Besides, she had. I didn't smell her, but when her mom came, she says, when my daughter came, she says, "I think she probably needs to have a diaper change." Yep, she did. Good thing I didn't do it. And so we'll get her every week. Where just went back and the youngest granddaughter, who's now 3 months old, roughly, and well, born the 1st of July, so whatever that makes her. And so she went back to work on this Monday, which was she was a little bit not sure how she was going to do with a 2.5-year-old and a brand. And, husband's disabled. He had testicle cancer 5 years ago or so forth, and it was stage 4, but he beat it, so that was good. And but anyway, she's works from home, which makes it kind of nice. And now I've got to set up a station over here, so it will give her a chance to get out of the house and do some work occasionally. And so I got to set up a workstation for her over here and things like that. Hopefully I'll have enough bandwidth for her to be able to work from. So anyway, that's about all there is from let's see, what am I? Yeah, I'm K0CCU. That's right. You know, don't call me Joe. Joel, you got the inference there, didn't you? Yeah, right off the bat. Anyway, back to you, Jim. K6SOE, K0CCU, Lee and Glendale. Take it away, Jim.
Okay, let's see. Can you
go,
hear
Brandon.
me here? If I turn this up. Yeah, okay.
You know, I feel really sorry
Now
for him.
I got
really.
audio.
I mean, there's
All right, Lee, thank you for
there's a bunch of
checking in.
folks pulling the string behind the screen, and you know, if you pull away, little guy, you know,
I have it right now.
the doc, you know, whatever that little guy was that was
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, yeah,
I'm gonna-
Wizard of Oz. So that's what I think is going on in the background, and
Yeah, well, behind the curtain, and from here we'll see if there's any other ATV activity before we go straight to whereby. K6SOE, Hindenburg. All right, seeing none, we'll see everybody next week, or Tuesday at 6, or Sunday at 9 a.m. K6SOE, QSY to whereby. Whereby.com/ATN1. We'll see you there.